Hi, my name is Ben, and I am a worship pastor and an instrumentalist. I teach private lessons, and one of the things that I have really wanted to address is keyboardists who may not have learned how to simply play chords from a chord chart as it applies to particularly worship music. A lot of classically trained pianists come and they could read music. They're incredibly gifted on the piano, but just don't really know how to translate to the simplicity of playing in worship. And there are maybe some self-taught keyboardists who have messed around, but just really, you may still be playing block chords, moving your hands around. And I want to give you a technique that I teach that explains how to use inversions. And I'll touch on the number system, because understanding the numbers can really help streamline the process of learning how to simply play chords. And in most cases, as from the viewpoint of a worship leader, I need my keyboardist to just play simple. When you listen to a large amount of worship music, you'll hear that it's largely just chords. These days, you don't have a whole lot of fancy piano work. You've got chords, and you're holding those chords out, and you may have some really nice pad sounds underlying those. The pads are doing part of the work for you. It's just addressing how to make that work and keep the process simple and not get overwhelmed by it. Basically, what I'm going to lay out in this video is that all you have to do with your right hand is play three different shapes. You're going to be using inversions based off of your primary shape, which, say if you're in the key of C, you play the block C, which is, looking at the piano, C, E, and G. But then you're going to make that inversion to accommodate what an F chord would be, but keeping your hand very close to that original C shape, and then inverting again for the 5 chord, which is a G chord. I'm going to lay it out in the video. Hopefully this makes sense to you. Hopefully this will streamline your own playing. You are welcome to share this with your friends if this helps you. I am not doing this to try to get a whole bunch of views. It's just something that I've really felt strongly about, and I love helping people understand this. It helped me a ton. It helped me be able to play beyond just in the key of C, start bringing those black keys in, playing in A and D and B and things that I didn't really feel like I could do. It's very simple. So let me lay this out for you. I hope you enjoy. Thank you. I'm going to start in the key of C. We'll also do it in the key of G. From there, I think you can figure this out, like in any key. And that's the whole point. So when we're in the key of C, we've got C, E, and G. Okay. Now, if I want to go to a G an F, I could do the block chord thing, and then G, but that just sounds kind of stodgy. So what you'll hear most of the time in worship music is inversions. So you've got C, and then you can take your G to an A, take your E to an F, take your G to an A. Yeah. But a lot of times for the F, I'm going to go just take my E up to the F, which in turn, it's the same as playing a C sus, but it turns it into an F2. An F2 works in place of F in the key of C almost 100% of the time. So you've got C, you've got F, and then you've got G by taking the left 2 fingers and moving them down 1. So the middle finger goes down a whole step, thumb goes down a half step, right? So now I've got my C moving to a B, my E moving down to a D. So I've got B, D, and G, essentially making a G chord. You could look at it as first inversion of G. The thing is, I don't have to move my right hand beyond those three positions ever. So whenever I'm playing, so that's where the number system comes in. So we're in C, so C is 1. I'm going to go to a C sus for 4. I'm basically playing an inversion of 4, or of F, and that's my 4, and that's my 5. So the basic formula for any song is 1, 4, and 5. You throw in a couple of minor chords, the 6 minor, sometimes the 2 minor, and other kind of derivatives here. So what I'm going to do in the key of C, I'm just going to write this out. I've got C, D, just a major scale, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay? Now, if I use this formula right here, which is the most common number formula for worship, and the reason I'm addressing it this way, and just instead of linking other videos to you, I find that a lot of number system people will make this a 3 minor instead of a 1/3. But in worship, we almost never play a 3 minor. Sometimes we do, but you'll get a 1/3 more often than a 3 minor. So our two, if we use this formula, and this is just kind of most used, I'm going to come up here. I've got an F over D. I've got 1/3, so that's a C over E, then 4, then 5, 1/6 can be a C over A, 5/7 is a G over B. And these are chords you see all the time, so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is how this sounds. So my right hand is going 1, 4, 1, 4, 5, 1, 5, 1. And then backwards would be 1, 5, 1/6, 5, 4, 1/3, 4/2, 1. So this is, and this is how you'll see it most. The reason I did this last line is this is how you'll see it written most of the time. You'll have 1, 2 minor 7, 1/3, 4, 5, 6 minor. I should have written a 7 there. 5/7, 6 minor 7, and then 1. Just talking about the 6 minor. Okay, so we've got C. So I'm doing not an inversion so much of A minor, but I'm taking my, that's A minor 7, I'm just taking the redundant note out. So all I have to do is keep my hand on the C. So a lot of times when you're hearing worship stuff, you've got the pads and stuff going 1/6, and then 4, and then just keep that 4/2. So that's 4/2, or basically a C2 over D, or you could call it an F2 over D. But this formula works across the board. So if I were to do it in G, I like to leave a little room here, so I've got G. So that makes all your movements so small, right? And there's no weirdness. There's none of those weird, like, wait a minute, what's that note? So it's like these kind of oversimplification of the chords allow it to stay more connected from chord to chord throughout the song. So hopefully this makes sense, but what I recommend is like exploring this in every different key. Go to D, go to A, try this system out as it applies to all these other keys. First thing you do is find your 1, your 4, your 1, and your 5 inversion right there. Right? And then just do a major scale with the left hand. Okay, then here's an example of, in the key of C, just a basic worship chorus. I'm just going to do Amazing Grace so I don't get flagged, okay? So, Amazing Grace, play 1/3. How sweet for the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. But now I see. And even just for that walk down, I was just doing inversion of the 4, which is F, 1/3, which is C over E, 4/2, which would essentially make it a D minor 7.